welcome to episode number 47 of the Introvert Biz Growth Podcast, the show where I talk to introverts who grow their business and make a difference. I'm Sarah Sinacroce, and I'm so happy that you're spending this time with me today. Today I'm talking to Jennifer Corcoran, and I'll tell you more about her in a minute. But I want to just take a moment and talk about failure. So, next Wednesday, my colleague Lisa Wells and I were supposed to start another 7-day training for introverts on the topic of delegation. Well, it didn't quite work out. We didn't get enough participants and decided to cancel the training. Yes, you could probably say it was a failure because we did put a lot of time and effort into it. And yes, for now, I also decided that I won't put up another 7-day training, as it does require a lot of energy to promote it. But you could also look at it as a big success, and that's what I do, because Lisa and I previously had never really worked together. We've been colleagues and kind of, gotten to know each other online, but we've never actually done something together. But putting this together really brought us closer, and we both enjoyed each other's company and working style. And I'm sure we'll collaborate again or help each other's business grow in other ways. So we also created a great program that we can now repurpose and sell the recording. And, we also both learned something in the process. So failure? No, I really don't look at it that way. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And talking about failure, if I really enjoy the conversations on a podcast that also talks about failure, and it's called The Other F Word. So I'll make sure to link to it in the show notes. And as you know, links are clickable also in the description part if you're listening to this conversation on the go on your mobile phone. Now, on to today's guest, Jennifer Corcoran. So Jennifer is the founder and director of My Super Connector. In a nutshell, My Super Connector helps you to shine online and connect with finesse. Jennifer is an award-winning social media consultant and personal assistant and offers one-to-one training, strategy audits, and online business support to positive entrepreneurs, professionals, and small business owners. A self-confessed introvert, Jennifer believes that you don't need to be the loudest in the room to make an impact. Social media has broadened the playing fields for introverts, and we all now have equal access to success in the online world. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, it's a pleasure. We had to postpone because you had a cold, so I hope you're much better now.
Yeah. I've had all my vitamin C, so I'm fighting fit, ready for Christmas.
Excellent. Okay, great. All right, Jennifer, I already read your bio in the intro. And so what I'd like you to do here is to tell my audience a little bit about yourself and something that my introverted audience can relate to. So something that has to do with your introversion and how you got started with your business and all of that.
Okay, well, basically, My Super Connector is a social media consultancy, and I'm also launching a new virtual assistant service. So mainly I live in the online space, and that's where I feel comfortable as an introvert. I've always felt comfortable online. At school, English was my favorite subject, so I've always loved writing. I just really enjoy anything in the online space.
Mm-hmm. What have you done before you started your business? Were you ever in the corporate world, or you have always done your own thing online?
I worked in the corporate world for about 20 years, and I was a personal assistant, executive assistant, and then an office manager. So I've always had like a support function in the background, which suited me as an introvert. So I was basically helping other people to shine. And most of my work in administration was online as well. I wasn't really customer facing apart from the phone. So that suited me again as an introvert.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, you always kind of made other people shine, like you said. Is that still what you do now with your clients? Do you have this feeling that that's what you want to do for them?
Yeah, definitely. I was a complete social media novice myself a few years ago, and I just decided to take a plunge and started to do some training. And I just realized that I really needed to develop my personal brand when it came to LinkedIn and just online. I just wasn't sure what to be posting online. And after doing my training, I got confidence. And now I'm pretty well known for what I do online. And I just want to give that same confidence to others who, especially introverts, when there's a meeting on, we're the last person to pick up, and we might know the answer, but we internalize it and we don't always say it. And I'm not very much of a spontaneous person. I need to kind of process things. So, but I think as an introvert, you can actually make an impact, and you can make an equal impact to any extrovert online, whether it's on social media or by blogging. And I just want to help other people feel confident when it comes to putting themselves out there in the online world.
Right. So when did you make that switch, or also what made you want to quit the corporate world and start your own business?
I had a back operation in early 2016, and that was the main catalyst, really. I had several months off work, and that allowed me to kind of think about what I was doing with my life, where I wanted to go forward. And I decided eventually that I wanted to be my own boss, having supported others for 20 years. And I just wanted more flexibility. I wanted the all elusive work-life balance. I wanted to be able to kind of look after my back as well. After various courses and training, I decided that I really wanted to just pursue the social media and virtual assistants.
Right. And does it suit this lifestyle as an introvert?
Yes and no. The work is perfect. I love doing it, and that completely suits me. But finding the work, that can be hard for me as an introvert, because I naively thought that when I first launched my business, I'd create my website, I'd let everybody know it was there, and that would be it. Everybody would be mailing me, getting in touch, getting onto the website. But it's not like that. You really have to pick up the phone and ring people, and you really have to know your worth and really show your worth. You can't really hide it under a bushel. So you have to be quite extroverted in the delivery of your pitch and your offering. So that can be a struggle sometimes, because I'm quite happy to put it online and I can be confident online. Just going in for the sale, really, and asking for the sale, that can be tricky for me as an introvert.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not the only one. So what you realized is that, you want to put the spotlight on your clients, but first you need to put the spotlight on yourself to actually get the clients, right? And that's the hard part.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's talk about your business module and revenue stream. So how's your business set up? You said you mostly work online. So does that mean working with clients one-on-one? Or do you also offer kind of like group programs or products or things like that?
So I do a bit of a mix, really. I do a lot of strategy audits, which are all online, that I can email people, and they're basically makeovers and suggestions of what they can do to improve what they're doing. But I also meet people one-to-one if they just want me to, showing them how to schedule on their Facebook business page or schedule their Instagram. And I've recently started to do workshops, but they're mostly small, because as an introvert, I only feel comfortable, I would say, with maybe up to 10 people around a table. So all of my workshops are quite informal. To be honest, I really enjoy my one-to-ones and Skypes or meeting people in person. So even though I am an introvert, I've surprised myself this year by finding that I really enjoy training. So even though it might only be up to 10 people, if you had said to me a year ago, you're going to prefer this actually to the strategy audits, I wouldn't have believed it. But actually next year, I'm hoping to do more one-to-one or in-person workshops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how we grow as entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that, because you're an introvert, you're never going to like that. No, you kind of grow and get more experience and get more comfortable with it, for sure.
Definitely, yeah. Like, I am still shocked, and I've recently been presented with a training opportunity for next year. It's not finalized, but I've gone for it. And if I am accepted, it was going to push me, because I'm going to have to do groups of 30 plus. And that excites me and terrifies me in equal measure. But again, if you told me a year ago I was going to be thinking of something like that, I would have been like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like you do grow, so definitely it's worth smashing through your comfort zone. It's hard time, but I think each time you do it, you get better and better and more confident.
Yeah. And some of the most famous introverts, they're actually thriving at speaking on stage. That gives them a huge adrenaline spurt and they really enjoy it. But they know that they're introverts because after the speaking gig, they immediately want to go off stage and just hide in their hotel room and re-energize.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm not there yet either. To me, it's still, speaking. I think the biggest crowd I've ever spoken in front is about 100 people. So that's pushing my limits. But like you, I started out with, 20, then 30, then 50, and now 100. I don't necessarily want to go beyond 100, even though the funny thing is webinars, I have sometimes 400 people and that doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
It's because I'm in my comfort zone. I'm at home in my home office. And even though they see me on video, to me, it's not the same thing as speaking on stage.
I know.
Yeah.
I definitely need to embrace a bit more of the video next year going forward, because it is right. Like even a Facebook Live, it's a lot easier to do a Facebook Live just to your phone than it is to stand up in front of 100 people.
Yes.
For some reason that's one of my mental blocks. So I have to really work on that. And I've tried one webinar this week and it was out of my comfort zone, but it was actually okay. I mean, I was a bit stiff, but I think I definitely would give it a go again, just because, well, the one I did, actually, you couldn't see me, so there was no video. So that made me feel a bit more relaxed. Same as a podcast, you can't see me. So it's all good.
Yeah, it's all these different comfort zones. And a lot of people out there say you have to keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. But I'm not really a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I think we can just grow within our comfort zone and sometimes expand it. But if you throw an introvert completely out of his comfort zone, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, but that's for another discussion. Let's talk about what I like to call the introverted superpowers. What do you think, Jennifer, is your biggest strength as an introverted entrepreneur?
I think because I've always loved writing, like I said, English was my favorite subject at school, and I used to write letters. Even if I went away for a week, everybody got a postcard, everybody got these really long letters. So a lot of people, they struggle with blogging and I don't. I can easily ping out a blog. And the same, I don't really overthink when I post on social media. I just post it. Other people can tend to agonize, like, what do I put down? But for me, it's quite easy. So definitely I would say writing and just being online in general, blogging, any kind of post, that's fine for me.
Okay. So the written communication comes really easy to you.
Yeah. I love it. So
it's funny because I hear my husband's voice who always says, just pick up the phone and call the person. Why write an email? Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's you. I don't like picking up the phone. I'd rather spend a good half hour, like, writing the perfect email because I can think about it and I make sure that I don't say anything that will hurt the person's feeling. And I like writing as well.
I can definitely relate to that as well. Like I said, that's been one of my struggles, that I have to pick up the phone as an entrepreneur, because I'm definitely an emailer and a texter, anything online, that's me. But that's been a struggle, definitely, kind of having to say, right, I have to pick up the phone now. And it's funny because I was in a job as employed for 20 years in corporate and I was answering the phone every day and it didn't actually bother me or faze me as an employee. But I think that's been one of my mindset struggles, is actually picking it up and contacting people on the phone and kind of pitching myself versus going in with an email.
Yeah. Well, it's different in this corporate situation. You didn't have to sell anything, right?
True. Yeah.
So selling, I can tell, is definitely one of your challenges as an introverted entrepreneur. Is there something else that you would say that's definitely challenging for me?
I'd say public speaking. I really wish I was brilliant at it, because I just think there's so many opportunities. If you are, you can embrace. You can really make an impact if you're out there, and just, being more forward facing, making the videos, just showing up. And I just think I've been approached to do a few speaking gigs where I could have actually made quite decent money, but it was just way out of my comfort zone and I declined. So it's a bit of a regret. And hopefully next year I'm going to venture to Toastmasters and try and just improve on it bit by bit, and just like I said, try and do more talks in front of slightly larger audiences, and just little by little try and get myself a little
Yeah.
bit better.
I definitely think it's a skill you can learn, because I know from other introverts who did learn it and because they wanted to. I don't want to.
Yeah, I know. I
That's
hear
a
you.
different story. But
Yeah.
if you really want to and you think that's what I need to do, I think you definitely can. I don't really think it has to do with introversion that much. I just think it's something that we need to push ourselves maybe a little bit harder, but it can definitely be learned. So yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
Thank you. And to be honest, I just thought, even if at the very least, even if I end up just kind of fine tuning my pitch, because I go to so many networking events where you have to do your 60-second elevator pitch, or sometimes you get the opportunity to do a 10-minute talk. And even if I can just psych myself up to that, first of all, just polish the 60-second pitch, it will be beneficial.
Yeah. Oh, I just get goosebumps hearing that. So yeah. Good
Do
luck.
you not go to many events? Like in London, there are so many breakfast networking events, and
Yeah.
all of them, the formula, it doesn't matter what network and what they're called, they always have a 60-second pitch at the
Yeah.
start where you go around the table and stand up and say what you're about. Do you not have them really?
No, we have those. I
Yeah,
did that one year and
yeah,
I said, never again. I'm not going to do that ever again. Because I literally almost fainted at that table. So, like, yeah, that's
yeah.
just not for me.
I know, I've been there. And to be honest, the funny thing is as well, they're always breakfast. So they're encouraging you to eat and have your breakfast. But I can never relax, especially, if they start the other side of the room, you've got like 10 people going in front of you. So I'm sitting there quite nervous, practicing in my head.
Yeah.
So I never get to eat the food. And then, by the time I've done it, my adrenaline, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And then the food's cold. So I don't know why they just don't allow you to get the food after,
Yeah. You should ask for a doggy bag. Can I just please have my food to go?
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, networking is a whole different, I think we should have one episode just on networking, because it's definitely, it's the number one thing that and selling, obviously they go hand in hand, that everybody struggles with. Yeah. Take us to an aha moment, or maybe you already kind of started sharing about that when you had your back injury, right? So tell us about that, what happened, and, what came out of this aha moment you had then.
I just think we're always kind of running around in our day-to-day life, and you have your week or two's holidays, but I never really took time to reflect on what I was doing, where I was going in my life. I had a job, it paid well, I was good at it, but I never really overanalyzed. And when I had back surgery, I had one of the discs taken out of my back, and I literally had to lie down straight on the floor for about a month. So it gives you a lot of time to think. And I kind of reflected, because my last role, I started it as a maternity cover. I'd been in the UK a few years, and I still didn't really know where I was going, but I thought, okay, this will do for 6 months to a year. And then suddenly I found myself there 11 years, and I was like, how has this happened? And I did enjoy the role, and it was in financial services. It was quite fast paced, and it was a bonus culture. So the bonus, it was great to get every year, but it was a kind of a form of golden handcuffs.
Right.
Because even though I knew really finance wasn't really me, but you always needed the bonus for something. So you were like, oh, okay, I'll stay. But having the back up just really made me reflect and think, well, what exactly do you want? Is this for you? And just kind of thought, how did I end up here? But I think if I hadn't have had the op, I'd probably still be there,
Yeah, in a way it's scary, because time just goes by, and like you said, you never take the time to reflect, and oftentimes something needs to happen, right? I see that with people who are also kind of like overworked and almost burnout, but not really. Something just needs to happen, that they stop and say, okay, enough is enough. I need to change something in my lifestyle. Unfortunately, usually it's something physical that just kind of shuts you down and says, okay, this no more.
Yeah, it's true. Because you just think, if your back's going, why is it going? It's just a build up of something's not working, something has to change.
Right.
And yeah, I don't regret quitting, I think it's probably been the best decision I've ever made. It's a bit scary when you've got a regular income to go from that to zero. But I just don't regret it, and I'm really glad I did it. But like you said, I think something had to happen. Otherwise, I would still be there, definitely.
Yeah. Also, what I sometimes recommend aspiring entrepreneurs that they just start out a side project. I love the book by Guillebeau. It's called The Side Hustle. And
Okay.
so you just really, as you're still working, you start
Yeah.
to kind of think of your side hustle project. And then maybe this will turn into something bigger. Maybe it won't, but at least you gave it a try, and at least you kind of found this motivation maybe again to do something else than your boring day job. So really love that book. I'll make sure I'll link to it in the show notes.
Yeah,
So
to be honest, if I had kind of my time back, I think that is really the sensible approach, because it is hard when you go, as I said, from a salary to none. And I was lucky I had savings built up. But if you've no savings, it's really risky. So if
yeah.
you can have a part-time job even and do the business on the side, or as you said, build it up like at weekends and evenings, it's definitely the smart thing to do, definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. Unless, like you said, you have a spouse that can support you or you
Yeah.
have savings. But otherwise, yeah, I think the slow approach is probably smarter here. Let's talk about the three golden nuggets, like I like to call them. The first one is a personal habit that you think contributes to your success.
I'd say for me, it's just that I'm social and that I'm consistent. So I think people know what they're going to get when they meet me. I'm pretty much the same online as I am in person. And in relation to like social media or LinkedIn, I consistently show up, and the same networking events, memberships I belong to, I just consistently show up. And I think probably the best personal habit that people would know me for is the fact that I do connect others. So if I know someone else that I think could help them, I'm always connecting them together. And I just like helping people, really. So I'd say
Right,
that's probably it.
right. Yeah, so consistency, I think that's definitely, I don't know if it's an introverted trait, but I've heard it several times that introverts, they just stick with it and
Okay.
I'm going to commit to this and I'm going to do it on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
I think you're right about that. All right. Since you're working online all the time, I'm sure you have an internet resource that you could share with our listeners.
Yeah, in relation to stock photography, I love Haute Stock. It used to be called Hot Chocolate, which is a fabulous name, I think. And they're a Canadian brand, and basically it's a library of over 2,000 images. And they're fantastic for social media or blogging, really high end, So I definitely urge any female entrepreneur to check them out. They are geared more so towards women, but they've got some fantastic images in there, and they've got pre-made kind of quotes for Instagram.
Oh,
Um,
nice. I
they've
never heard of them.
Yeah, they've got pre-made graphic packs. They just make everything so easy. So you can scroll through the graphic packs, and they'll have outlines that you can put over, for example, your Instagram if you're on Instagram, or your Twitter. They just have so many things that you can chop and change, and it's all really good quality. Sometimes I do spot somebody else with similar photo to what I've used, but it's not everybody, and everybody uses the pictures different and adapts them different, But they're definitely really good quality stock photography.
Excellent. Is that a membership site or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the minimum is a 6-month membership.
Okay.
I've got an annual one, but the great thing is you can go in and you can just download every image. So even if you just wanted to do it for a year, or 6 months, it's worthwhile. Just go in, download absolutely everything you like. They've got so many teams and categories related to the seasons, to colors, to nature, to everything. Like there's just a lot of imagery in there, which is really great.
Excellent. All right, let's talk about a book, because that's a question that I always ask, because up till now, I think there was only one guest who said, I'm not really a big reader, but usually introverts, I don't know, I just make the association with reading as well. So are you a big reader, Jennifer, or not so much?
I'd say I'm a medium reader. I love TV, and I know it's not cool to say that, but I love TV and I love the cinema, and I'm a bit of a Netflix binger. So I just kind of love being absorbed and taken away. So I can happily just get my way through a box set. But I do like books. But I think since the development of Netflix, my probably book reading has dwindled a little bit. I do try to read at least like probably only one a month. So I'm not like a hardcore reader.
Okay. Well, do you have a book anyways that you could share with us here?
Yeah, I think my favorite one, and the title, it doesn't matter. Like the title is actually, it's called Personal Branding for Brits. And there's a tagline, it's how to promote yourself, raise your profile, and get ahead without sounding like an idiot. And it's a funny book. You don't have to be British. It can relate to anyone. I'm Irish. It's by Jennifer Holloway. And she's quite sarcastic. She's got a great sense of humor, but there's some great tips in there about how to promote yourself on social media in relation to networking, just any kind of self-promotion in general. And I think I've read it twice. It's one that you can go back to again and again, and you don't need to read it all in one go. You can just pick out a chapter and get stuck in. But it's funny as well. I think it helps for me. If a book's funny, it'll make me want to read it and finish it, you know?
Right.
But it's definitely a good book to help you with any kind of promotion.
That's great. Yeah, I definitely make sure that I link to that. So personal branding for Brits, but you don't need to be a Brit to to read it.
No.
But in a way, I think British often say that they struggle compared to Americans, struggle more with self-promotion. So in a way, if it says personal branding for Brits, I think that kind of also means personal branding for introverts. So maybe kind of fits here.
Exactly. And to be honest, it's the same culture in Ireland as well. We don't really grow up promoting ourselves. Whereas the one thing I love about America, you know, not the one thing, but I love your culture of show and tell in school. Whereas we have nothing like that. You never kind of given the spotlight. So the culture is you never really toot your horn. And as an adult, you do need to toot your horn. And as an introvert, you do need to, like, you know, in order to progress, you don't have to. If you never toot your horn, you know, you live a nice life, but you'll never really get to the next phase of your career and you'll miss so many opportunities. So, yeah, it's a good book. And like you say, I think it is a cultural thing anyway, definitely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, I'm Swiss and in Switzerland, it's the same thing. It's like you got to be humble and never exaggerate, you know, under promise and under promote yourself. So I think that book might as well have been called Personal Branding for Swiss. So I think you could just apply it to any country. Yeah. Excellent. So I'll make sure that I link to that.
Yeah, check it out. It's a funny book. Like you'll enjoy it, definitely.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we're getting to the end of our conversation here, Jennifer, but I always like to ask the last question, and it's kind of a woo-woo question about what you're grateful for today or this week or this season.
I think I'm just grateful because this has been my first year in business. So I'm just grateful for surviving it because it has been a bit of a roller coaster with ups and downs. So I'm just grateful that I've made it to the end of the year and I'm still going and growing. And as an introvert, I'm kind of pushing myself. And I'm quite proud of myself. I've kind of done a few things this year I never thought I would do. For example, I was interviewed on the radio as it's called LBC. It's quite a big station in the UK for business. And I was given a little slot as a social media advisor. And that was scary, but I'm really proud I did that. And I also was invited to number 10 alongside 20 other business owners. We all belong together to an association called Enterprise Nation in the UK. And that was a bit nerve-wracking, but I put myself forward for it and I'm so glad that I got that opportunity. So I think it's just, you know, I'm really just grateful for surviving and pushing myself and just for the opportunities I've received this year, like this podcast. So thank you for inviting me on. So it's things like this, I'm really grateful for.
Well, that's great. Congrats for surviving your first year. And I think it's super important what you're doing is to actually look back and say, hey, look what I've accomplished this year. Because as introverts, we're often always in our heads. And sometimes it can be kind of this negative voice that keeps telling us, well, you know, you should be doing more public speaking. You should sign up to, you know, this and that. Well, but also look back and see what all the things you've already accomplished. So congrats for all your accomplishments this year, Jennifer.
Thank you. But you're definitely right. Like as an introvert, there's a lot of shoulds in my head.
Yeah.
You should be doing this, you should be doing that. And it is hard to be like, actually, as your question prompts me to think about being grateful, because usually my husband says it to me as well, you get nervous for something, you push yourself out of your zone, you achieve it, but then you're never really grateful for it. It's kind of like on to the next thing, okay, I've done that, but next week I need to do such and such. So I think, it's good to be grateful for all the little wins you have,
Exactly. So, since we're just recording this before Christmas, I hope you can take some time off and just reflect and be grateful and get the energy to push forward again next year.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for taking the time, Jennifer, for this interview. It has been a pleasure talking to you. All my best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's it for this episode of the Introvert Biz Growth Podcast. You can find out more about Jennifer on her website, mysuperconnector.co.uk or facebook.com/mysuperconnector. You'll find this episode's show notes at sarahsantacroce.com/episode 47. And if you're listening to this show on a mobile device, you can click on the description and you'll actually find all the clickable links there. If you've never been to any of my show notes pages, it's worth checking it out. Tim and his team do an amazing job on making these pages really look beautiful, and it does include all the links that we mention in our conversation. Talking about clickable links, make sure you also check out sarahsantacroce.com/say no to get my 4-part guide, including email scripts that will help you say no with ease so that you can concentrate on what is important to grow your business. So just go over to sarahsantacroce.com/say no. And the last link I'll mention is sarahsantacroce.com/Patreon. If you want to become a regular patron of this podcast and help me with the cost, yes, it does cost a lot of money to run a podcast. Not only the editing, but the time I put into it, the making these show notes pages look beautiful, all of that requires money and time. And so I really do appreciate if you want to go over to sarahsantacroce.com/Patreon, and you can start with just $1 per month. Even that will make a huge impact on me and my motivation to keep this going. Thanks so much for listening. This is Sarah Santacroce signing off from the Introvert Biz Growth Podcast. Remember, you need to use your unique introverted superpowers in order to make a difference.